Hey, this is Enter Scoop Phase, and today we've got finally the Starter Deck 9 to unbox after the North American delay and then the Canadian delay. Thanks, Band-Aid. We're going to go over the deck contents and then follow it up with a budget build, smashing two of these together, and then two full finished builds at the end. One is a proper finished Imperialdramon build, and the other will be more of a Veemon Armor build if you want to go that route. So let's begin. この番組はドラマスポンサーの特許でお送りします。So our only Digi-Egg, 4 copies of Minamon. Inherit, when you have a blue Digimon in play, this Digimon gets 1000 DP. This is getting dropped immediately. So these decks will run pretty much all blue for their mono colors. You want to use Demi Veemon, or if you can afford it, the blue Upamon instead. There's some other choices. Bukamon's decent. For rookies, to this new Veemon, suck, you only get 2, you're gonna have to buy 2 trial decks for it. On play, look at the top 3, grab any card with free in its traits, put it in your hand, put the rest of the bottom of the deck. That's amazing. Anything Adventure 2 Veemon canonically evolves into is free, so X-Veemon, your armors, Imperialdramon. This searches everything in your deck. You're going to want to have 4 for this new... That's a new Betamon. Yeah, but it's a vanilla, so bleh. Champions, 4 of this new X-Veemon. Very good. If you're hard playing it and you have a green Digimon in play, it costs 1 less to do, so it'll only cost you 3 instead of 4. Inherit when attacking, if you have a green Digimon in play, you get 1000 DP for the turn, which will happen. All your ultimates, all your megas are blue-green mixed, so it applies for both colors. To this Imperialdramon, DNA Digivolves, 1 blue level 4, 1 green level 4. On DNA Digivolve, return one of your opponent's Digimon with 6k or less to the bottom of their deck. Great for low removal. Will pretty much hit anything with a blocker if anyone's using that. Still for low blockers. On attack once per turn, unsuspend. Also very good. It's a double attacker. 2 of this new Imperialdramon Dragon mode. Does look kind of black because it does cost 4 to evolve, and it's only got 1 little effect, but that effect is amazing. On Digivolve, you play a level 4 blue and a level 4 green from this guy's sources without paying their memory costs. So if you DNA Digivolved into your ultimate, then into this, you'll have a blue level 4, you'll have a green level 4, you can hard play them. They can't attack, but you can DNA them into another. So all this does is extend your combo plays, and you start building a second evolution stack. 4 of this Kokuamon blocker on your opponent's turn against blocker, but you need a blue Digimon in play to do it, so it's not that good. Drop it. 4 of this new Wormmon. Its inherit's very good. End of your turn, you may DNA Digivolve this Digimon and one of your others into a Digimon in your hand by paying DNA Digivolution cost. Essentially what that means is if your turn's passing over to your opponents by you either pass your turn or you went to negative memory, you can still DNA Digivolve. That means if your turn is passing, you've got something that looks like this, you can still DNA. Essentially means you can hard play a Digimon, end up passing the turn, and then still get the DNA evolution off of it. 4 of this new Stingmon, it's pretty much in parallel to the X-Veemon. For this one, if you have a blue Digimon in play, you can hard play this from your hand at a cost of 3 instead of 4. When attacking, if you have a blue Digimon in play, draw 1 card. 2 Snymon. This is a weird one. A lot of the last starter decks had security guys like this too. If it comes up in security, you can free play it afterwards, and then on play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Doesn't really work in this deck. 4 Dino Beamon. I don't know why they just... They're forcing you to buy 2 decks anyway, so I don't know why they're giving you 4 of this. Oh well. DNA Evolution, just like Imperialdramon. Same requirements, 1 green, 1 blue. On Digivolution, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. If you DNA'd, it doesn't unsuspend at the start of their next turn, so it's just a stun. Inherit's pretty decent though. Your turn, this Digimon gets 1k DP for each of its colors, so it's gonna be up 2k. 4 Jewel Beamon, it's vanilla. 4 Gran Kawagamon, this is a filler card as well. Security attack +1, and on Digivolve it gets 4k for the turn. This is a filler card, you drop it immediately, there's no reason for it. 2 Megadeath. This card is amazing. This is the best removal the deck has. Don't fall into the Gigadeath trap. That thing is terrible. 5 cost, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to its hand. That is amazing. So 5 cost, you just remove something on board. Sure, you bounce the card to their hand and they can replay it, but all its sources are gone, so they'll have to build up the stack again. Security, it just activates the mana effect. It's great. 4 Hell Masquerade. It's meh. One of your Digimon gets 2k DP for the turn. Then if you have a blue Digimon in play, one of your guys gains piercing. You're not really going to run this. And 4 Flower Cannons. It's a reprint. It's new art. It's Lilymon. It's great. It's great. It's great. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It's fine. Now we can smash 2 of these together. Make a decent budget deck. Egg is still 4 Minamon. Obviously, only thing we got. Rookies, 4 Veemon, 4 Wormmon, for Ko Kabuterimon. Drop the Betamon, it's vanilla. It costs the exact same as Ko Kabuterimon to play. Why would you do that when you can have something with blocker? These have free attribute. They need to be in here. This is your searcher, it needs to be in here. This is your DNA when you pass turn, needs to be in here. For Stingmon, for Veemon, for Snymon. Yeah, obviously. For Dino Beamon, for Imperialdramon. Drop Jewel Beamon because vanilla, gross, ew. For Imperialdramon. 3 Grand Kuwagamon. You don't really need 4 of this. There's only 3 because there's not a lot of other things to cut. Going real heavy on options though. 4 Mega Deaths. 4 Flower Cannons. 3 Hail Masquerades. These two actually work decent in tandem. You can spend one of your opponent's guys, then give one of yours piercing. Pierce through. Having 4 of this is really nice anyway because if it goes off in security, it suspends everything they have that isn't a blocker. So it pretty much shuts down their turn for attacking, hopefully, unless they DNA you. Megadeth's still very cheap, very easy to play. See how we did is we chopped vanillas, chopped a Grand Kuwagamon that doesn't do much, dropped a Hell Masquerade because it goes to your hand if it comes up in security. You don't really need 4. There just aren't a lot of other things to run in place of it. This deck didn't come with the memory boosts like last time, so it's not as functional, but these decks still are just very powerful out the gate, so this is still a very decent build. Now for the proper builds, this is the first of 2 we'll be showing. This one is more of a natural evolution of the deck for just an Imperialdramon build in general. Eggs, there are 3 eggs here. Part of this is dependent on budget. Upamons are like 10 Canadian right now. It's real dumb, real stupid. A lot of this is preference. If you're running more jamming stuff, yeah, this Veemon's great. Otherwise, this Upamon's great because you're rushing. There are a lot of times where if you're rushing, they won't have a lot of guys with sources yet. So early on, this will work very well. Draw 1. This Bukamon is pretty good against Rush. If you get matched up against that, you can start trashing their sources a little bit too. If all they got is a level 4 with Armor Purge and a level 3 underneath it, you trash their source, that Armor Purge means nothing. Rookies, 4 Jamming Veemon. It's Jamming Veemon. There's a reason it's like 20 Canadian right now. It's stupid. It's so good. Also, Jamming, good for Veemon. 3 of this Veemon from BT8. It's another searcher on play. Look at top 4, grab a 2-color blue card, so that's all your armor cards. That's all your level 5 DNAs, and that's your new Imperialdramons. So it hits most targets. 4 of the starter deck searcher though, because it does target free instead. It is only top 3 instead of 4, but the number of targets it hits is the whole deck. So it's much better, hits everything. 2 Wormon, because still being able to DNA Digivolve on turn pass is very good. Especially after you've attacked with 2 level 4s and they're suspended, you can DNA it into a level 5 that's no longer suspended and no longer an attack target. Level 4s, 2 Jamming X Veemon from EX1. Jamming's good. Also, just giving all of its evolutions, Jamming is also very good. So having that double attacker Imperialdramon with Jamming, very good. 4 of the starter deck Stingmon, being able to hard play it at a cost of 3 is very good. Draw 1 if you're blue, because you're going to be blue. 2 Lydramon or Raydramon if you're like old Savon era. It is the only armor out of all of them that is both green and blue, and thus you're only green and blue in level 4. So it's here just to make sure that you have a Digivolution target for DNA. It is kind of the crappier of the 3 armors though. On Digivolve, suspend when your opponent's level 4. That's fine. It's not 8k like Flamedramon though. Running 2 Magnamon here though. Blocker's very nice on a 7k that you can easily get out. Armor Purge as well. On Digivolve, unsuspend, it gets 2k, so you can easily attack with a Jamming Veemon, evolve it, unsuspend, get another attack, or just leave it as such so you can use it as a blocker. 4 Imperialdramon and 3 Dino Beamon for the level 5s. Being able to multi-attack with Imperialdramon is a lot better than not being able to with Dino B, although Dino B does get the effect regardless of whether you're DNA or not. I still think Imperialdramon's a little bit better. You could opt out some Dino Bs for Chimeramon, but that thing's just a beef. It's also expensive. Megas for level 6, 3 of the starter deck Dragon mode, and 3 of the new BT8 Fighter mode. This thing costs 2 if you evolve it on top of Dragon mode, so you can keep extending that stack a little bit. Really only want to play it on top of Dragon mode. I could see you running 2 Fighter modes and 4 Dragon modes, simply because this thing isn't optimal to play on top of a level 5. On attacking once per turn, if you've got a blue in your sources, you unsuspend this, well, one of your Digimon, but usually this. And if you've got a green in your sources, suspend one of your opponents, which will happen. You're evolving on top of either this Dragon mode, or if you have to, a Pyil or Dino Beast, so it's both colors already, you're getting both effects. Level 7s, this is really an optional thing. Paladin mode, it's a win better card. It's not really the best thing. Probably better just to 2 of this Blitz Omni instead. Evolves off a level 6 blue, which, you know, it's these guys. So being able to unsuspend and then swing again, it's great. This thing though, Paladin's meh. Its first effect, where it's cheaper evolution cost, it's a lore effect. It's not there to be used. You have to manually get a frickin' white level 7 into your trash to be able to get that, so... That's only if it's like a long game, and if this is a long game, that means this deck's not doing what it's supposed to do. On Digivolve or on attack, you return a 1/2 color card from this guy's sources, so one of your level 5s or 6s, or your blue armor. You can trash all the Digivolution sources of one of your opponent's Digimon, then you return all your opponent's Digimon with no sources to the bottom of their deck. It's a win better card. You don't really need it. 2 Hammer Spark, because I had space. 2 Megadeth, because it's the best removal in the game for this deck. 1 Hint Potential discovered, because it's limited. Tamers, part of this is also going to be budget-based. Davis is expensive, but it's very good. On play, look at top 3, grab a blue, grab a green. All of these guys are blue and green. Counts for both. Very good. Also, Memory Resetter gets you to 3 memory. The Davis and Ken Dual Tamer is very good. If you have a blue in play, gain 1 memory. If you have a green in play, gain 1 memory. That's fine. Even if you had nothing on your board at the start of your turn, you can move something up from breeding area and still get that memory. And then whenever you Digivolve into something with 2 colors or more, you suspend this tamer to unsuspend that. So you can extend your armor, rush plays, or if you have to evolve normally into something without DNA, it just facilitates an extra attack. And 1 Mimi is just kind of... This is an optional thing. If you can't afford Davis, run Mimi instead. Still has the, if you have 2 or less memory, set your memory to 3. And it lets you move things up from your breeding area. Not as good, but if you can't afford Davis, it's $7 or $8 Canadian compared to like 20 something. Much cheaper. For the second deck, it's more of an armor-centric one. It doesn't use a lot of stuff in the trial deck, as that's more of an Imperialdramon style. We're running 3 of the jamming Demi Veemon here. In most cases, that will be usually what you evolve into jamming Veemon here, whereas the other Veemons are just on-play searchers. We included in the EX1 Veemon, when this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your main phase, gain 1 memory. Very good with your armor stuff, as you'll be using things like armor texture to restand your guys and gain more memory. Still running Lightramon, Magnamon. We chopped the X-Veemon, Flamedramon instead, because armor, 4 of each armor. This one gets 3k on swing. It's fine. 8k is decent. Now here we chopped down a Veemon. We put in Chimeramon just because there isn't as much green anymore because it's only Lightramon. So with Chimeramon, we'll be able to DNA every time. There's still Pyildramons in here if that comes up, but Chimeramon will work with any 2 of your armor guys. Works very well. On Digivolve, place a level 5 or lower Digimon from your trash under this. Then up to 4 of your opponent's Digimon get minus 1,000 for each color. So you'll have usually 3 to 4 colors under this thing. Works pretty often. If you can get the 4 colors under it, it does get 4k DP, so it becomes a 12k, so that becomes your big beat stick for Mega. I know like so many armor decks aren't running level 6s, and I feel that that's just weird. But this guy, hear me out. This guy's beautiful. So Leopardmon, when Digivolve, you play 1 level 4 or lower Digivolution card from any of your Digimon as a separate guy. Doesn't have to be him, it could be anything. So you can grab another Veemon, like if there's a jamming Veemon under a separate armor guy, you can grab that out as well. That's nice. Also, on your turn, all your level 4 and lowers get jamming. So that means all your Veemons become jamming Veemons. That means all your armor guys get jamming. Also have 1 Ice Wall, because I have the space this time. 1 Hammer Spark. This is kind of just filler. Kind of just there. These all ignore color requirement as long as you have an armor guy out. They only work with armor guys anyway, so that kind of just works in of itself. Fire Rocket will give 1 of your Digimon with 2 colors security attack +1. So that'll be all your champions, all your ultimates. That's fine. 1 cost, pretty good. Security effect's kind of a downer though. Delete 1 of your opponent's guys with blocker. It's not really gonna happen often. Really could have just been an add to hand, but no. 3 armor texture. This is your main attack extender. You trash the top card of 1 of your armor guys, so, you know, your armor guy down to a Veemon. Then you can Digivolve the Veemon again into something else from your hand. You pay cost as normal, and then you unsuspend that Veemon. So you can attack with an armor guy, play armor texture, devolve it, then re-evolve it, unsuspend. Also with the EX1 Veemon, you'll unsuspend and get a memory as well. And 2 Plasma Shot. This is your form of removal in this. You do need an armor guy out. 1 of your opponent's Digimon gets 4k for the turn. And then all your opponent's guys get minus 1,000 for every armor in your trash. You do need to count before you do it. You need to have a decent amount of armor guys in your trash, or else this thing is really not going to be able to kill more than a level 4. Now for Tamer, it's pretty much the same thing. Davis still works really well. Davis is also still really expensive. Also, you do have 2 other Veemons that on-play search cards out of your deck. This one doesn't have as much of a use here because it grabs a blue and a green, and you don't have as much green anymore. It's just Lydramon. So typically, I would chop it. You should run Mimi instead. And of course, the Dual Tamer. The Dual Tamer works incredibly well in this deck. Being able to, once per turn, unsuspend another one of your armor guys and attack with it again is very good. And that is Starter Deck 9. Thank you for watching. See you next time.